Hello and welcome to another video. This was recorded live at the Software Test Automation Group meetup in Melbourne. The audience were awesome, running a mob programming style session, writing the demos for me, and I hope to get a few more testing videos up very soon. I hope you enjoy this one.
All right, cool. Thank you, Matt. Maybe we'll just start with, I want to get a sense a little bit about you and how much you know and what your roles are. Hands up if this is your first time to this meetup group. A few, awesome. Okay. Hands up if you have used PowerShell before to do anything. Oh, awesome. Okay, that's much more than I expected. Hands up if you do mostly manual testing. All right, okay, that's cool as well, because this is something hopefully we'll learn how we can make it a start. Hands up if you do mostly automation testing. Okay, a few of us, awesome, okay, cool. Well, I want to run a session, like a mob programming style session, where we'll each take turns at using this laptop to write a test. And we'll experiment and play, and I want to follow like a BDD TDD style, where we might start writing some tests that don't work, and then we'll get them to pass. Is everyone familiar with TDD kind of practice, this red-green refactor kind of idea? Is this something, hands up if you've seen this kind of idea before? Pretty much everyone. Okay, awesome. So look, we're going to start writing a few tests. They're going to fail, they won't work, and then we'll make them pass, and then we'll refactor our tests to make them a bit better. That's the concept I want to go through. So we're going to start off with tests that don't work. My first API, I wanted to find something that we could actually go and actually use and practice away at our own desks. So I'm going to be using the meetup.com as a way to test an API. And now I'm assuming, since you may manage to make it here, you're already familiar with meetup.com. So there is an API for meetup.com, and we're going to call just 2 or 3 of these methods and test that they return some data that we're expecting. I've got VSTS, Visual Studio Team Services, which I've got some work items in here, and some of the items that I want to work through today. So I want to get an alert on an upcoming meetup event. Let me open that up. So I've got a feature. As a member of a PowerShell meetup group, I want an alert if there is a meetup later today, so that I remember to go. Kind of makes sense as a concept. Okay, cool. Now what we need is a story to implement this feature. So I've got broken it into 3 stories of things we'll build up over the next half hour. I've got another story here, which we'll work down and see how far we can get through this stuff. There's a number of us here, so maybe we'll be able to get quite a way down this list. I wanted to also create an application server, and maybe I want to make sure that my application server is to specification. Maybe I want to make sure that it's got 8 gig of RAM and it's got 200 gigs of hard drive, and the environment matches what I want the test environment to look like. So we can actually create some tests with PowerShell to do that as well, if that's going to be helpful. And I've got one where I had to create a number of log files, and I wanted to make sure that those log files archived correctly and zipped up the logs appropriately. So I've also got some tests around that, but we want to focus most of today's session on how we can do API testing with PowerShell. So we'll go through these stories first. Using meetup.com. API returns the name of an event. So this is the feature that we looked at earlier, and further down I've got some acceptance criteria. So the scenario is, given the meetup API service is available, when I request events for this meetup group, the return JSON response should have an event about testing. Kind of makes sense as a kind of concept. Cool. Right. Awesome. So that's our first simple test that we're going to create. Now we're going to use PowerShell. Now some of you are familiar with PowerShell. PowerShell is installed by default in Windows. So everyone with a Windows machine already has PowerShell. Just go here and type PowerShell. So everyone has PowerShell already. PowerShell has an ISE, an interactive shell environment where you can type up scripts. Everything we're going to go through today is also available in PowerShell Core or PowerShell version 6. And that will work on Linux, Macs as well. So it's cross-platform, and this is, if you've got a Windows machine, you already have this installed on your Windows operating system. So I've already launched a Windows PowerShell window here, ready for us to start a test. Matt, do you mind helping me out for a moment?
Yeah.
Cool, awesome. So I want to do it like a mob programming style where we'll have someone at the keyboard. You get the easiest job.
Okay.
Right? So you can stand at the keyboard and you can just type in a few commands that the rest of us will tell you.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So you don't need to know how to code. You just type what we say.
Okay.
And you'll be our driver.
Okay.
And we'll be navigators telling you what to do, telling you which way to go.
The mindless driver.
Okay, that means that I can now go and sit down in the audience, which is awesome. Okay, thanks, Matt. So if you can, let's start. Let's dive back over to my Google window, and we'll copy out the feature and the criteria. So go scroll up that window if you can. Yeah, can you select all of that text? Yeah, copy, and paste that into that PowerShell, into the PowerShell window. The top panel. Yeah, paste it in there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Can you do the same for the acceptance criteria? Scrolling down. Oops, there we go. Awesome. Let's do Control S to save that file.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, excellent. We have a test. Right. We're all familiar with this, yeah? we ought to run this and make sure it actually does something. Can you, in that blue panel underneath, can you go into that blue pane and type the word invoke, I-N-V-O-K-E, invoke, dash as one word, dash, press G, tab, autocomplete, press enter. Awesome. Now we might need to expand that panel a bit. So we have a working test. Now, at the moment, we've got lots of question marks in there because it doesn't understand anything. But we now have a working test. Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Do you want to hang on for like an extra 2 minutes, and we'll just try and make it actually do something a little more than that? Can you go File and Save As? And we're going to change the file name here at the bottom. We're going to call it, at the end of that, we're going to say, remove the word feature, and we're going to call it steps.ps1.
That's it?
Dot ps1. Yeah, ps1 is a PowerShell file. Okay.
Doesn't it automatically save as that type if I...
Okay, let's save that file. Awesome. Now, in the steps file, we now need to get rid of everything above the word given. So if you can delete lines 1 to 7. Okay, and we now need to tell it the steps to do these things. So these are just the raw text version. Can you, after the word given, after the word given, we'll put that sentence in quotes. Yep, and then can you do an open curly brace and a closing curly brace? Awesome. Can you do that for the rest of them?
Sure.
Excellent. Oh, this is easy. I'm liking this.
Do I need to put the quotes for them?
Put the double quotes around it, yep. All right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Good.
Does it look okay? Okay. Cool. All right.
Do we skip characters or semicolons, or that's just
No, I think that's okay. Let's go down into that blue screen again. Can you click into that blue screen? And we'll do an up arrow. Press enter. Awesome. So those question marks have disappeared. All right. So we now have a working test, and it's marked everything as being passed because they had no error. Right. So by default, if there were no errors, yeah, it's working. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Puli, do you mind taking over? Thank you. Excellent. Thank you.
so is invoke Gherkin just works out of the box from PowerShell?
Okay, little asterisk here. There is a one-line command to install the Pester, the PowerShell testing module. But that is one line, just to install dash module Pester. And that will download the tester, the PowerShell testing framework. Otherwise, yeah, this is all built into Windows. Cool. All right. We've got a test. We've got steps. They execute, but they don't do anything, actually. We need to put something inside those curly braces. So I think the first thing we need to do is to figure out what's the URI of the service that we need to call. So can you put a new line in between those curly braces, Puli? Excellent, thank you. We need to figure out what the URI is. I think I put a hint back in that VSTS work item to save us some time. If you can go back to that Chrome window. Can you scroll down a tiny bit? There we go, a little bit, there we go. So scrolling down a little bit more and we find there's a URL to try. Oh, there we go.
Green mouse.
Okay, yep. Copy and paste that in. Back to the blue, the left a bit, the light blue one. Move the mouse right a bit.
Next to the Chrome.
Sorry, I didn't bring my glasses.
I should have asked. Okay. Awesome. So that's the URI. Now we need to.
Unquote. Oh,
That's okay. That's cool. That's correct. So the dollar sign indicates a variable in PowerShell script. So we've got a variable called URI, and that link. So now we just need to make a call to that URI. Does anyone know? Is anyone awesome?
Invoke dash request.
Okay. So let's go in, do a new line number 3. Can you do another new line for line number 3?
in here?
That's right.
After the URI.
Yep.
Yeah. What should he type?
Invoke.
Invoke dash request. It's not case sensitive.
Yeah. Can you press tab? Invoke web request. Okay. Yeah. Space. What comes next?
Dollar URI. I'm guessing.
Yeah. Try that. All right.
It's probably minus URI something.
Let's give it a go. Puli, let's give it a try. So look, we're going to start off creating some failing tests.
Delete that.
Delete that bit. That's okay. Cool. Okay. So we're going to start. We're going to create some failing tests, and we'll learn how to fix them, and then we'll get them refactored to make them better. Okay. Awesome. In the bottom panel, Puli, can you do an click into here? Yeah. Do an up arrow. Press enter. So no errors here. Looks like that did something. Can you let's double check and see what actually happened. Can you select lines 2 and 3? Just highlight and select lines 2 and 3, all of it.
In here?
Yep.
Would you need to save the file first, or would you still run the old version of the file?
Yeah, probably.
Good. Thank you.
Copy.
Control S to save the file. Okay.
Let's try and run it
Do you want to
again.
try run it? Yep.
Run again?
Yeah. So
So invoke.
down into the blue panel. Yep. Press up arrow.
Oh.
Enter. There we go, there we go. So we have got an error this time. We now have our first failing test. 404 not found. Awesome. Excellent, thanks Billy. David, do you want to take a turn?
Guessing it's not by accident.
Not by accident. So in this scenario, we've just created our first failing test, and our next step is to ask our development team to make the page, make the API, so that this will pass. At least we need to get some sort of response. Okay, it doesn't matter what it is. It could just be an empty response, but the very first thing I need to do is to make that first step of my first test pass. So, Mr. Developer has gone away. He's built the API. And now we find out that that URL, not quite right. David, if you can go back to that Chrome page and you then scroll down a tiny bit further, you'll see I have got a slight correction to that window. Scrolling down a tiny bit further. There we go. So the meetup API doco suggests it should be events plural, not event, because the API can return multiple events. Right? Okay. All right. Okay. Now we learned. We changed the requirement a little bit. Let's copy that in. Yep. And we'll change that line number 2. Awesome. Control S to save. Yeah. Let's try that out. Awesome. Now we have a passing test. Awesome. Any questions? Keep going.
Too easy.
All right. Okay, so if we want to now debug a bit further, because now I actually need to do the next step and actually figure out and make sure that the response coming back contains what we want. Yeah, so okay, well, now we could continue with the next step. David, are you okay to do a tiny bit more?
Yeah.
Cool, and then we'll swap again. Someone else can take it. We have enough. I think we'll go around maybe 2-3 times. Right, excellent, awesome. Okay.
Can I ask a question? Why did that work?
Okay, so I was simulating here the scenario where we have a broken test, where we've written the test first and it breaks, and then we've now corrected the URI to the correct URI, because the syntax should be events plural, not event. And this URI works successfully. It does give back a successful response.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. I've also added the recent past attribute on the end as well, because that was another thing. Conversation with the developers, well, you want to make sure you get a response. By default, it may be future events, and so recent past will give you at least one event every time you request it. So, okay, we'll add that as our URI for the purpose of our first test.
But it wouldn't work without that.
No.
It wouldn't work.
Without, if it was just event,
No, with events.
if it was events plural, yes, we would have got a response back. Okay. But now we need to do the next step is to actually. It looks like actually now reading the sentences, we've got this in the given part rather than the when part. Yeah, okay, cool. David, can you copy the lines 2 and 3 down into the when, actually? The given part, we might actually put in some other code in here, which might make sure that our API service is online and running. We might just do a ping command. Copy lines, not the line number 4, just copy lines 2 and 3 inside the when statement. Yeah, take those out and put them inside the other one. That's better. Yeah, inside there.
Delete.
Yes. Right. So we could, in theory, put a ping or some other command or script here to check that the service, the environment, is actually online first. We won't do that in this session, but you could create whatever is necessary for you to validate that your service has been deployed, responds to a ping or something like that. Okay. All right. Cool. That's good. We now need, so it's line number 7, we need to now make sure that it's returned something. So let's get back that response from line number 6 into a variable that we can then query later on. So line number 6 we'll put a cursor at the very beginning of line number 6. And let's call it $RESP, $resp for responses, $RESP equals. Awesome. Let's select lines 5 and 6 and execute just lines 5 and 6. Can you highlight lines 5 and 6? And press F8 on the keyboard. Okay, so we've got that closing curly brace that it doesn't like, so maybe you put the curly brace on the line underneath. Okay, try that again. Okay, now let's type into that blue panel $RESP and we'll have a look and see what came back. Okay, so if you scroll up here a bit, what we actually got back was a web response. So it's got a status code of 200. So, oops, scrolling back down a bit. And then we've got some headers that came back. So OAuth headers, so you can do authentication. If you needed to supply some other headers, you can put that in the that request as well, so you can supply authentication. Scrolling back down, we would also have stuff that's not visible on there is the raw HTML or raw content that came back if this was a web page. And you can see you've got links for all the hyperlinks. It also collects up all the image links. So it out of the box knows what a web page looks like. And it's got an object repository to try and map out all of the different objects that you would get in a web response. Web response perhaps not as best fitting for API. Is there an equivalent for API? Can you try changing invoke web request? Can you try removing the word web request? The word web request, delete that. Okay, press delete that. Try rest. Press tab. Invoke rest method. Yeah, so I didn't know what that. No, I didn't know. They just sometimes it auto completes for you. Okay. Try running lines 5 and 6 again. Let's see what happens if we try doing a rest method instead.
Error.
Okay. Let's have a look at dollar. Can you go back and up arrow in that blue window and let's get back what the $resp is. So click into here. Yeah. Up arrow. Enter. Okay. Let's scroll up this little panel. So it's got back the contents of the JSON response, and it's got this as a object, and it knows here the properties from that JSON response that came back. Awesome. Thanks, David. I think it's time for someone else. So, should we go and say what? Would you like? Could you come up and take over for me? Excellent. Thank you. Awesome. Have you used PowerShell before?
Yeah, I'm not scripting, but just some bad files.
Ah, awesome. Okay, cool. So in this then, so we'll do the then part. So can we see here what we're looking for? We're looking for the name of that event. So it's got. So it does have something called name. Names come back. Okay. Let's have a look then. Line number 9. Let's have a look and see whether we can find out and make sure that's equal to what we were expecting. Can you do $resp? Name. Okay. Pipe. Do a space and a pipe character. Space. The word should. Space. Dash. B space, it's already capitalized it, autocomplete, wonderful. Should be Testing? Yeah.
Should it be includes or?
Let's try this, right? Let's look if it fails, it won't work. We'll know in normal pattern we would then ask the developer, didn't work, fix the code to make it pass, or we'll correct our test case. All right, let's in the blue window underneath. Let's have a look and see whether that.
Let's save it first.
Awesome, thank you. No, I like having other people in here because I make mistakes as well. How many times do you debug something and then realize I forgot to save? Okay. So what happened here? So if we scroll up a tiny bit, so we see here the expected string length 7, but it was 27. They differ. We expected testing, but it was REST API testing made easy. So look, it's already testing the right thing. So that code is awesome. It already works. It's very close. Can we make it a tiny? We need to do this a tiny bit different then. So instead of being should be exactly testing, should be like. Can you do BL? Press tab. BL, press tab. Less than, and again, be like testing. Okay, should we save and try that? Yeah, not quite there. No, so it needs some other wild characters, wild card kind of characters in here. What might we do?
Percentage.
Percentage. Awesome. Could you try putting it around a percentage? Let's try percentage first.
Percentage around testing?
Yeah. Let's save and try that. Okay. So you had a different idea?
Yeah, asterisk.
Okay. Asterisk instead.
Hard to pronounce. This time on the
Well done, team. Right. Yeah. Excellent. We now have a test. We've made it fail. It's now passed. We are now testing that the meetup event matches the name or is like the name that we wanted. Awesome. Cool. I think we're ready to move on to a second test, second scenario. Awesome. That didn't take us too long at all. Okay. Let's. Can you click on that cross to close that window down? Let's at least take a look at the next one and start. And then again, I want to make sure everyone gets, as many people as possible get a turn at doing this. Let's have a look at the next one. Yep. The names of some events contain special characters. Okay. Okay, that could be a problem. So we've got a new scenario. Okay. So I happen to have found, by chance, another meetup group called the Melbourne PowerShell Meetup Group that has an event about #BeerOps extravaganza! So there's two special characters in there. Let's give this one a go. Can you at least copy and paste this into all of that? Excellent. And paste it into our feature file. So we might need to open up our feature file. Yeah, so it is in here, but not by the filter at the bottom left. So bottom right, that's it. Let's look at all files. Open up the feature file. Yep, let's paste this under line number 11. Awesome. Okay, let's save that feature. Okay, let's execute invoke Gherkin. Let's just check we haven't broken anything first. Can you just invoke it again? So we've got the first one. First one should pass. Awesome. This one doesn't understand the second steps. Awesome. Thank you. Can we have someone else at the keyboard, please? Someone else? Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. So, can someone remember what we did last time in order to get the second and third steps into an executable step? Can you click onto the steps file. This,
Which meetup steps go left hand in the top half.
the steps file. Excellent, awesome. Now, can we remember what we had to do to get it to remove the question mark, so we understood what those steps were? What do we need? Yep. Yep. Down there, yes? Yeah? Okay. Now what does she need to do? Excellent. Now what should we do?
Save it.
Save it. Yep. Can you Control S to save the file? Awesome. Now what?
Run and see.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right. So they're not actually doing anything yet, but we've got rid of the question marks. This is one of the tricky things that I keep getting stuck. I get excited about it being green. And I forget I haven't actually done anything with those steps yet, so I'm okay. What's next? What should we try next?
Doesn't the text names have to match within the feature and the step file?
Initially, yes. What we might do in 5 minutes or so is to parameterize and make them reusable. But yes, at the moment, the when, then, the things in double quotes have to exactly match something in the feature file for it to be able to find the step to execute. Okay. For simplicity, let's just almost do almost copy-paste of what we did before. I think that will be the quickest way to actually get something working, and then we will refactor afterwards to clean it up and to make it more reusable. But let's start if we can try copy-paste and at least get it working first. So what should she do? Can we copy paste? Right. So let's explain, because we need to navigate our driver here into what she should do.
Into 17. No, into when? Yeah, so go down. Let's change the. Go back.
Our driver's driving off course a little bit. You need to listen and just, you've got the easiest role at the keyboard where you just listen and you just type. If they tell you to type something, you go and say, scroll back up. We need to scroll all the way up.
Go back to the.
Let's jump back to PowerShell. Okay, right. So the navigators in the room will help guide you and tell you what to type. You just listen and type. If they make a mistake, they told you and we learn together. Okay, awesome. So, sorry, what's next? What did we need to do now? Because we've copied that code in.
Do we have to change the variable name? From URI 1 and rest 1 maybe? Probably not.
But no, maybe not.
Let's change
Maybe
the
we
URI
could test it first and see if it works. And if it doesn't, we might need to change it. You're right. But we might want to see if it works first. But
the URL?
yes,
The group name.
yes, we do. Yes. So the group name at the moment says when I'm still requesting here the software test automation group, but line 16 says I actually wanted to get a different meetup group. So let's change the name of that meetup group. So it's going to be the thing in quotes. You could use copy and paste that in to the. You're right. That's it. Yeah, there we go. That's it.
Instead of software testing.
Okay.
Do it.
Yeah. And we need one more step below, don't we? Line number 21 is missing.
So copy line number 9.
Yep, let's change be like, the be like part, yep. So I haven't got a mouse at there. I know it's a bit more tricky. I apologize. Awesome. Yes? We happy? Save it. Let's give that a go. Yeah. If it works, we're all happy. Okay. Up arrow. Yeah. Fail. Okay. Expected. So Beer Ops extravaganza meetup madness to be like the wild card. Okay. It did come back with the right. It did look at the correct group. Okay. Anyone see why that might not be working?
Yeah. Because there's a Beer Ops Chile X17.
There is. There's extra stuff in the middle, right? So, Mr. Developer, we've got a problem. We're not returning back the correct data. Okay, a hypothetical example. We need to correct it because we're actually getting back more data than we expect. And it turns out maybe, in this particular case, it's our test data that's wrong. But we do need to maybe update our test to make this pass. So what should we do? Given that the data coming back is actually correct, we've got conversation with the developers. They fixed it. This is now the correct heading that we should be getting back. How can we make our test pass? Start in between Beer Ops and extravaganza. That would work. Okay.
Space as well.
If we like. Would you like? Yes. Okay. Okay, we've got a space either side of the asterisk. Okay, let's give that a go. Okay.
Did you save it?
Should remove the spaces around the star. So it's Beer Ops star.
That's right, because it's Beer Ops Chile is one word, is the data we're getting back.
We also remove the space up before extravaganza.
Could we get rid of extravaganza as well?
We could look at it in practice. You might decide I don't care what's in the middle as long as there's a hashtag and then something with an explanation at the end. However, yeah, we'll keep it like this for the moment. That should now hopefully. All right, we now have 2 passing tests. Okay, so we've done red and green twice. We now need to do another round of refactoring. Thank you. Go take a seat. Thank you. Next, please. Thank you. Any ideas on the BDD? If anyone familiar with the BDD, like syntax is given when then, how might we create some reusable steps or something that we want to reuse with multiple data? Yeah? How might we do that in the BDD given when then kind of format? How might we change this? Parameters? Yeah? Can you explain how we might set this up? Just from because we've got the code, we know the code works. All we need to do now is maybe reduce this kind of duplication.
We keep the data in a config file and call from there.
I send it to variable.
So, sorry, there are a few questions. You go.
No, I send it to variable and pass this variable to
Create variable. Yeah, can we create variables or data examples in BDD? Common thing, a background. We could, yes, we could have a background. Any other ideas?
Are you talking about scenario?
Awesome. That would be a great idea. Yes. Let's try scenario outline. Could you talk us through how to start that? Can you go back to the feature file?
No,
No?
It's like the table format.
Yes.
You specify the parameter name and the data, all delimited by the pipes.
All right. Let's try that because that will help us just to have one scenario now with 2 variations of data where I'm trying one that works and then one that's got special characters in it. Feature file. Let's Okay, we can potentially keep these ones as working, and we can create, almost copy and paste it underneath, and we'll create this time a scenario outline. Once we get it working, we can remove the ones above, but let's try and create a scenario outline first, and then once it's working, clean up again. So, yeah. So instead of the word scenario, we're going to say scenario space outline.
Just copy one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. And we're going to put line number 24 then. Let's put a few extra spaces in here, a few more lines in here. Line 24 will have the word example, colon, space.
With S or without? So examples or examples?
We'll see, I guess.
Examples. Examples? Yeah, examples. Let's try examples, okay. And let me name these examples. So these are events with different characters in the name. So can you type in events with different characters in the name? Sorry, this one now needs typing. I'm sorry, everyone else just do copy and paste. Events with different characters in the name. Well, we're going to do one which is normal. The first one, that was a normal example, and then the next one we're going to do that beer ops chili one. So events with different, let's just say events with different names. It's not too important for this, this set. Let's just say events with different names. Okay, and then at line 25, we need to try and make up like a table of this example data. So you remember how we do this with pipe characters? Can someone talk her through what to type?
Yep. So you put pipe first, and then we're parameterizing the second step, which is the when, which is request events for meetup group software test automation group, right? So the parameter in that is what changes is the software test automation group.
So yeah, so it'd be the
so you can call that group, I guess.
Group, yeah.
Group, yeah, group. And then another pipe. And then the next thing we parameterize would be the den, which is a JSON response. Should have an event about, I guess you could put keyword, because we're testing against the local word that we want to match against, right?
Yep.
Unless someone's name something else.
Yeah, keyword is good.
Keyword, okay.
And then another pipe. And then enter. And then pipe. And then the first group would be software test automation group. You could just copy paste that what we have up there.
Yep.
With the quotes?
With quotes? No.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. This is awesome having a self-driving car.
Yes,
In practice, we should be telling you exactly what to type, just so that we're thinking, we're doing the hard work of thinking, and you have the easy part of just typing it in. But I like, no, sometimes it's helpful. Continue. Yeah. Testing, space and a pipe at the end of that. Yep. Okay. Enter. Yeah. Should we put the other one in? Okay. The other one's scrolling up a little bit. Yep.
That won't be challenging.
It will. So we might, in that instance, decide, well, I know, maybe our keyword here, we could put an asterisk in between beer ops and extravaganza, because we know from our previous test that these are two wildcards, kind of, or two keywords in that one scenario. Okay. So the last thing I guess we can do is to put some extra spaces so that those pipe characters line up and it looks a bit more like a grid, a bit more like a table.
Spout, this is PowerShell TDD has a keyword
good. Not that I'm aware of. Maybe there's a plugin that it's extensible. So there may be other plugins that can do some other smart extra padding.
What was the plugin you said you had to install for it to recognize the syntax?
That's the Pester PowerShell testing framework. That's what we're using to understand Gherkin syntax.
Yeah, Pester.
Okay, and then move those last pipes all the way out as well. Yep, and then testing as well. Awesome. Awesome. I think you've done enough typing. I think we should have a change of navigator. How do you feel? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Take a seat. Isn't it next? Thank you. How do we complete the scenario outline? Because at the moment we still have these hard-coded names in lines 22 and 23. What?
Some kind of variable.
Do you know the syntax that we now need to?
So we remove the word software testing automation group and put current curly braces, I guess.
Is it arrow?
Also try those arrow angle brackets, the greater than, less than.
No quotes.
We can keep the quotes. That's okay, because it will help delineate when we see the test executing that it's got quotes around the parameter that we are substituting in. So angle. So it's a greater than, less than. Yeah. And that's going to be group.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're telling it to use the group example, the group column in the data underneath, and do the same, something similar for testing. No, there's no space there. Awesome. And something similar. So we need to replace the word testing with keyword.
Line 23.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Oh, line 23.
Line 23. Yeah. And we'll put that in those, greater than, less than. I don't know what. Yeah, there must be better. Angle brackets.
Yeah.
Angle brackets. Okay.
As far as I know.
Curly braces, angle brackets. Okay. Awesome.
And save.
Okay. Should we try? See what happens?
Of course.
Look. Look.
The text in 15 and 16.
We'll make sure that. Yeah, we'll try and see if we can get it working first. So there's a parser error here. Okay. All right, this is a little bit more challenging character. Where are we?
Does the
Where
example
are we
have
stuck?
to be a capital E? I don't know. It looks a little bit different to a standard feature file.
Let's put line 24, change examples to capital E.
At the start of the examples, capital E for examples. Capital E.
Control save. It skipped because of a parser error. Okay. Do we need a capital O for outline?
Possible.
Okay, if we get stuck after one more attempt, we'll go and look at the hint that I put in that Chrome browser window.
285. We haven't moved 285 lines of code in this file.
No, that's within the framework itself. Parser or
Yeah. Okay. Oh, there we go. So it did need a capital O for outline. So it's executing those lines. I'm not sure that it understands what to do about those lines. It's matched up. Well, certainly it is already matching some of our steps. But I think that as a feature file, I think that works. I think now I'm having maybe now already deleting out the rest of the lines, but maybe we'll actually get the steps to also work.
as well. Should we do that first?
Yeah.
Let's go back to the steps, and let's make sure we can get all of the steps to work to use these parameters. Because if we have a look at the steps file, back on the steps tab, we've already got a scenario outline which is refactored those two scenarios down to one scenario with a data table. So we've refactored the feature file, but we haven't yet refactored the steps. If we have a look at the steps tab, we've got quite a lot of duplication in the steps tab. Can you switch over to at the top of the screen? The steps tab. Oops. Back. Can you go back again? That's better. Yes, that's it. Awesome. So we've got, like, given the meetup API service is available, that's actually in here twice. So we can already remove the duplication of given the meetup API service is available, because that's up at the very start of the file as well. Let's scroll up at the top and just check. Yeah, it is in there twice. So look, we don't need it in here twice. So let's remove lines 12 to 14. 12 to 14, I think we can delete. Okay, so we've also got the when. The when statements are also very similar, and they're still hard coding to match the steps that get passed through. So what we can do is to parameterize the when so that we only need one. We don't need to duplicate this code. All right, I think we need to, well, the first step I think is to start by deleting the word software test automation group on line number 4. Let's remove that. So there's a bit too much. Let's Control Z, and we can undo. We'll just delete out the words in the middle of those quotes. So let's go back a bit more. There we go. Yep. Let's delete out the words software test automation group. Okay. Now, has anyone got ideas on how to do this from experience in other languages?
Just round brackets.
Brackets dot star.
Awesome. Round brackets.
Asterisk and dot asterisk.
Dot asterisk. So what? Yes. What is that dot asterisk for the rest of us? What does that mean?
Regular expression.
It means anything. Yes, and it's a regular expression. Okay. Are we familiar with the regular expressions? Dot star means any
character. Well, the dot means any character.
Any character 0 or more times. Awesome. You guys are awesome. All right. So that should now match. But it doesn't matter what the data is. That should now match the when. But now we need to, I guess, grab that parameter and put it into a variable to substitute into my URI. So that bit's okay. I think we need now, after that curly brace, a new line number 5. Can you go after the curly brace? Let's put a new line number 5, press enter. We now need to grab that parameter that's being passed through and put it into a variable, a dollar something, to stick into the URI. So let's use delete the dollar sign. We'll type the word param. Open brackets. Is this familiar syntax? Am I steering too much? Let's. I feel like I'm cautious. I'd like to help us move forward a little bit further and try a couple of examples. So param, open parenthesis. That's it. And inside of that param, let's do dollar. What do you call it? Dollar group. We can call it anything in here. What we're doing is we're taking that parameter. We're taking the parameter from the when, line number 4, and we're going to assign it into a variable for the code to understand. So we call it param. Let's call it dollar group. Whoops.
OUP.
Okay, awesome. I think then in line number 6, we can, software test automation group, we can delete those words. Yeah, and do dollar
group. Yeah, so as we start to do the refactoring, if we were to start playing this back, because we already have some other examples here already duplicated, the ones lower down might override the definitions that it matches higher up. So we might find that things pass or fail that aren't quite expected. So sometimes as you're doing this refactoring, you might need to temporarily comment out or delete some of the other examples so we can make sure it's working and it's not giving us a false indicator it's passing. Well, it's because it was matching line number 14, not line number 4. Let's just see whether we've broken anything. At least see whether we can get it to request both events, because we saw last time we got a question mark on that last one. But hopefully this will still pass. It will still be working because we no longer have anything for the first software test automation group. We've removed it from here now. Let's test this out. Let's run the tests. Here's the scenario. Okay, so those steps are still able to call the API successfully. I think we can get rid of lines. Was it line number 14 then when I request events? Because I think that should still work. Can we delete lines 14 to 17? A little bit. Awesome. Let's save that. Let's make sure that still works. It's still working, even though the original ones still work, and we've deleted the code for them. Awesome. Thank you. Let's, very close to finishing this off. We just have a tiny bit more refactoring to do on the then parts. Next, please. Thank you. So we have the then duplicated as well. Now we've already got an example that we can do something very similar. Can you help talk her through what we need to do next to remove the duplication of the then? What should she do?
In the then statement, remove testing from the quotes.
Here, line number 9.
Yeah.
What should I remove?
Testing.
And type in.
Ordinary bracket. Ordinary bracket. Dot star.
Start with it.
Then on the next line 10, we want to go to the start, put in a carriage term.
And we need a parameter.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I was getting.
Oh, sorry.
Here, between 9 and 10.
Yes.
Yeah, between 9 and 10.
Param.
Type
P-
param, P-A-R-A-M.
Do I have a param or just param? Just param.
Param. Type in the word
Yeah.
param. And then?
Bracket.
Yep.
Dollar keyword.
Sure you're not working for meetup? We're doing a job for you.
There's 2 parameters, Mike. How does that work then? Do you just put the first one and then the comma and the second one, or do you have to put 2 parameters?
We can have a look at that. I do have a pre-canned example. We'll once we get to the end of this, we'll have a look at the sample. Okay.
Yep.
And then what's next?
In that line, yeah.
Get rid of the testing. Word? Here?
Yep.
Replace it with dollar keyword.
No bracket.
No break.
I'm enjoying this. This is fun.
Should we draw a keyword?
Yep.
With the stars?
Yep.
So yeah, give me the start. Yeah.
And let's delete line 16 to 18, I think. Save, run.
Ooh, we got close.
expected to be like the wild card. What do we have on the meetup feature?
Go back to
Right. So our feature file still has the old scenarios in it, which are passing through the name containing the space. Let's go back and check the feature file. So we no longer need those first two scenarios because we now have the scenario outline that we refactored. So let's remove what line's number? 9? Actually, remove line 7 as well, can't we? We can get rid of line 7 down to about 16-ish.
15 and a half.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, delete lines 9 to there. That's better. Awesome. Right. So I think we just scroll up and down and check that's the only thing in there. Have we got any other? 9, 9, 10, 19. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything else in that file. It's just the one scenario. The one at the bottom I think we can remove as well, can't we? Lines 21, we don't need that lot anymore. So we've now refactored this down to the feature file now just has one scenario outline with these 2 data parameters. Awesome, let's save that. Let's try this again. Awesome, well done team. We've got a working test scenario that's got data-driven parameters, and we've refactored what was 2 tests into 1 to make a reusable scenario outline, and the steps are now also reusable. Awesome. I think you can take a break. I might go and have a look at our example and just fill in any other gaps, any other queries about this. So how did you feel about that?
Good.
Awesome. Let's have a look. There was a query, Matt, I think you wanted to know what happens when there are multiple parameters that we need to substitute in. How might we do that? Let me have a look at, I think I've got CD, come on, auto, why is autocomplete not helping me here? CD, why I'm not getting my autocomplete in here? Yeah, it does. Oh, I need to go back a folder, that's why. CD dot, okay, back to example 1b, awesome, okay. PS edit, let's have a look at my example that I had for the steps. So my version that I prepared earlier, in case we got really stuck, something similar. That was the first one where we had both. I need scenario number C, where we got a bit further than that, didn't we? We got to CD1C. Let's have a look at that one. So you can see if I try and move the mouse here, I've actually given a name to that parameter, and then I can put it in here, and it was going to match this parenthesis is my named parameter that I'm putting into this named variable. If I had something else in here on date, something like that, I can do in here dollar my date and give it. They don't always have to match, but a start date. Sorry, that does because I've given it a name. My start date. So it means that I can actually put these in any order and it will still match them up. I could do it that way around: start date, comma, meetup group. This might be slightly better practice to get into. Because I'm giving it an explicit name. Sometimes the dot star is a bit greedy and captures a lot more stuff than you actually meant it to, and suddenly your variables don't contain what you thought they did. So doing it this way, I'm explicitly giving this first thing is a name, and that's going to go into my meetup group variable, and my start date parameter is going to go into my $start date variable.
and giving it a name helps to make sure that that's working. Sometimes, you know, I like to put those. I haven't done it in this case, but my feature here, I might put those around quotes so that I know when I'm doing a dot star, I'm getting everything I can between those quotes and nothing else. If there was something else after this, I'm not going to get extra text. It's only picking up the things, dot star, pick up everything between those quotes and assign that to my parameter called event name, which is going to be assigned to the variable $event name. So I often put things in quotes. It helps to make sure I'm not grabbing more stuff than I mean to into my parameter. Matt's nodding. Awesome. Another question?
The one that you mentioned of the regular expression, those variable name should not necessarily be same one. And so given an example, start day or meetup group in the regular expression.
Well, I could, if I give it a name, they should match my parameter, my variable names in that parameter line. So they should match. The alternative, if I just did it like this, then I need to make sure that my parameter line here matches up correctly. Obviously, this now it won't work because the first thing is actually going to come in as the start date, and the second thing is going to come as the group name. So it's broken. So it's helpful to put in those named parameters and make sure, yes, they would match what you're expecting. They don't, however, have to match the names of the things you used over here. So this could be group, and I'm using group in here, so this matches this, but it doesn't have to match what I name it on the steps. I actually, we could validate that and double check that if I tell you something that may or may not work out. I don't believe that they have to match up. In here, I can give it a name of something different, and give it a different thing in the steps. The code could be using different names to the feature file. Helps to keep them consistent if you can. It will help it, obviously, when you're debugging, understand why things aren't working. Awesome. It's 7:30. Are we all good to kind of wrap up? I don't know. I'm happy. I mean, there's more stuff, and maybe I'll just show you a couple of other examples and where to go next if you want to do more. I have got examples here. This was just getting data from an API service. Obviously, as we want to do more, we might need to post data back to a service and make sure that it updates something. I'll see if I can jump across to an example where we can do that. Example 2, awesome. Okay, ls, I've got 2 files in here for updating my profile. Let's have a look at the feature file. Oh, let's do a PS edit. Let's get that up on screen in PS edit. PS edit opens it up in this PowerShell editor. Okay, so I had a new file, a new feature here. Again, I just copied and pasted this stuff out from that VSTS requirement. As a meetup member, I want to update my profile bio so that it reflects changes in my personal interests. And I've got an unauthenticated member who may try and update a bio saying I am hacking, and the response should return back a 400 bad request. And I have another outline. Again, I'm doing 2 updates on here. So given I have authenticated with the API, when I update this profile and I set the bio to a new description, it should return OK. The bio should be like, the bio should be matching what I've set it to, and then I do it again. I want to reset it back to the expected results. Let me have a look and I'll show you what we're trying to do. I have logged in. If I make sure that I am still logged in. Are we connected to the internet? Come on. Awesome, and we haven't been logged out yet, so I think, awesome. Profile. I am logged in. It's logged in as me. Software testing automation is fun. Let's see, and hopefully this works, because I haven't tried it since we got to this building, whether this is going to connect and successfully update. Let's have a quick look at the steps file. What does that look like? Well, bit more in here. I've wrapped it because I want to catch the error where I'm not authenticated, I do want to try this statement and catch if that returns back with an HTTP error, because I actually want my system to pass if I get back an error condition. If I get back a 400 bad request, that's what I'm expecting. So don't abort test execution. I need to catch that. If it equals 400, that's a pass for my scenario where I'm not authenticated with the API. You can see the meetup.com API in this example. We're just posting back to members this time. Instead of events, we're posting to members, and it's just simply passing across ampersand bio equals whatever the new bio is that I want to save. So sometimes what we need to do is to do it differently with a body. So look, we could do a dash body $body and have that as a array of data that we want to push back. Sometimes we might need to, I'm using here the method of patch instead of post or put. Turns out that in this particular API, we need to use the patch method instead of post or put. We are patching a record. Okay, let's just see if this runs, and then I'll post up the code. If you want to have a look at this later, you can have another look through and digest this at your own time. But it's a little bit further than where we got to with that first scenario, but hopefully it's not too far from you to understand what's going on with that code.
Where's the body variable?
In this particular example, I don't need a body. There isn't a body for updating it. But I've put that in there to remind me to explain that's something that we might need to do. There is other things that we might need to do by putting in headers, right? Headers equals, and in here we put in my OAuth token or my other application key. Again, the meetup.com API is fairly nice to us, and it takes it as part of again, the URL parameter to update the API. Let's have a look, and I just want to see if I'm actually going to get this to work. Let's just test, invoke Gherkin. It's up, and everything passed. So awesome. So 1.82 seconds, we've updated a profile bio. Well, it's validated that I get back a status code of 400, and it did get back the 400 code that I expected. And then I've updated it to say I love PowerShell, and it's updated it back again to say software testing or automation is fun. So it updated it, tested it, had the correct bio, and the second time it ran it to set it back to what it was before. So I always have my test data in a known working state. Nodding, awesome. Okay, I think we should probably take a break. I stretch our legs at least. Now, what do we do if we want to learn a little bit more about this? So we will need, if you want to play about with this, everyone has PowerShell installed on their machine by default. There is one command that you might need to do, which is install-module Pester. That will install this framework that understands Gherkin. If you want to know a little bit more about PowerShell, there's some awesome tutorials that Jeffrey Snover created with Jason Helmick. Jeffrey Snover was the inventor of PowerShell. He's top Microsoft, and he actually went to Microsoft Virtual Academy, and they've recorded some videos. They're using PowerShell version 3, but the syntax is virtually unchanged. Let's have a look and see whether we can find Microsoft Virtual Academy, MVA PowerShell. Let's see if we can find that. PowerShell Beginner, that's the advanced ones. There you go, Jumpstart, I think it's this one. So MVA, Microsoft Virtual Academy, PowerShell. It'll go through some of the other basics. Now, I don't think we'll need to learn too much more for the purposes of doing the REST API calls. That's effectively what we went through. That's almost it. That's 80% of what you need to know. So here, this is a series of videos. They'll teach you through how to understand and get used to a little bit more PowerShell. But But what you've done was already awesome. That was like from nothing, from not knowing PowerShell, from not knowing a lot about that structure and how to write that code. We've got a couple of working tests already, and it only took us now half hour, 45 minutes to get the first one going. Okay, so this is a great place to start to learn a little bit more about PowerShell. Where to find me, more about the stuff that I've done. If you missed the session, there's more. I also did a very similar session at that PowerShell meetup group. That's on my YouTube channel. If you were to Google for Mike Jones Techno as one word and look for my YouTube channel, if you subscribe, hit the little alarm bell, you'll get a notification when I post up the video of this session, and also then get notified of other future sessions that I will post up. I do have a session I'm trying to put together, I'm editing at the moment, a session comparing manual testing with automated testing and how to get started and highlight the differences. How can teams of manual testers create automated tests? I'm gonna compile that video together and post that back up on YouTube, maybe a couple of weeks' time. But I will post today's session on YouTube as well. So if you have a look for Mike Jones Techno, if you miss that out and it's Mike Jones, you will find Mike Jones the rapper, and I am not responsible for the contents that you will find.
I got you just by
So Mike Jones Techno, one word. You'll find me. Follow the YouTube channel, and I'll post this up on YouTube. I've also got GitHub where I'll put the source code. I will also share that on the test automation GitHub as well. But I hope you found something useful from the session. It was awesome that most of you here got a chance at the keyboard. I'd love to come back maybe later and try something else. But I hope you've had a good time and enjoyed learning something about how easy BDD testing is for an API. Thank you.